Kelly Davis, your host of the Untold Miracles podcast, and today we have a very special guest on the podcast. He's a multi-platinum American pop singer, songwriter, record producer, and he's the host of the amazing podcast, The Good Parts. Please welcome to the podcast, Mr. Andy Grammer.
Hey, how are you?
I am so excited to have you on the show today. I've been listening to your music this morning to get ready. You make me so happy every time I listen to your music, and it really is an honor to be talking to you today. So just thank you for all you do to really make the world a better place.
Wow, thank you so much. Great to talk to you as well.
Well, I know you're a busy man. You're on tour right now. You have your podcast. You're a dad to an adorable daughter, Louisiana. How do you make time for all of your passions?
Yeah, I don't know if there ever really is time for all of it. I think you try to do a read of what you're missing and go after that.
So what is it that you're most passionate about right now?
Well, right now I'm on tour, so it's like you got to make sure that the show at the end of the day is the most important because people like fly in from other cities and other countries to come see these shows. So you have to make sure that you save up enough of your energy for the end of the day. So that's where my focus is. But in the beginning of the day, I've been writing poetry because I think I want to put out a poetry book. Right now, that's my life. And then I was just home for a couple of days. I got to see my daughter, and I'm pretty passionate about her too.
Yeah, she is the cutest thing. I was looking at all of your videos of her on Twitter, and she is adorable. I'm assuming you probably FaceTime her on a daily basis just because it's got to be incredibly challenging.
Yeah.
Well, on this podcast, Andy, we talk about miracles, and I want you to take us back to when your mom passed away, and that was just shortly before you signed with a big agency. Tell us about that experience. I
definitely think there are miracles. I think in general that life has so much more going on around us than we're willing or usually accept. And, I lost my mom when I was 25. She was incredible. And then it's been almost, it'll be 10 years coming up this year. And, things started going really well about 2 years after she passed away. So I definitely think whatever the heck that is, if there are strings you can pull from wherever you go when you pass away, then I think my mom definitely played them.
What was the biggest lesson that you learned from your mom?
The biggest lesson I got from my mom was probably that it's only worth doing things if there's like a spiritual center to it or a depth to it. She just didn't care about anything else. So while I'm in like a pop music genre, I still love to try and add that piece whenever possible.
Andy, what's been the biggest miracle that's happened in your life outside of the birth of your daughter?
I mean, it's crazy that I get to do this, that I get to be a musician. I remember me and my manager, one day we wrote down everything we wanted before anything had happened. You know, we want like a national tour with tour buses and lights, and we want some number one singles, and we want all these things. We really focused our energy on them, and then they came true. And that was so crazy. That was like Harry Potter craziness, like wizarding stuff. So the idea that if you really set your intentions and write things down and like focus on them and then work really hard, that they can come true, that's a miracle.
What advice would you give to singer-songwriters that want to do what you're doing right now?
Number one, you have to just if you're a singer-songwriter, you have to write so much more than you think you have to write to get something that actually will turn someone's ears. It's not hard to write a song. Like a lot of people can write songs. To write a song that, you want to tell whoever hears it, they need to go tell their friends about it and share it. That's really hard to do. So I write at least 100 songs for every album. And
wow.
I think that is a good place to start.
Is that something most artists do, is write that many per album?
I don't know. I don't know if that's unique to. I mean, there are definitely other people who do it. I don't know how many do it, but that is one thing that I think that many people miss out on, is that that's something you can control. You can show up and work hard and write more than the other person, and then you'll have more things to choose from when it comes time to what songs to put out. Because for me, it all starts from the song.
Are there any songs that you don't write, but they write you? Meaning that you did not have to write it. It literally came to you and you just put it on paper.
Yeah, I wish it happened way more, but it very rarely happens, but sometimes it does, yeah. And then it makes you frustrated because why don't I just do that all the time?
Well, I want to know what your favorite song is that you've written, because I have a lot of favorites. I mean, there's so many. It's hard to choose from, but I'm just curious if there's one song that's your favorite.
No, I don't have one that's my favorite. I have ones that from time, like right now I'm on this Good Parts tour, and I really enjoy the Good Parts, and I get to close the night usually with me alone at the piano, playing the song, and everybody sings all the lyrics with me, and that's really special.
Speaking of the good parts, you have a podcast which talks about the good parts of people's lives, and we've had a couple of the same guests on our podcast. I love Lewis Howes, I love Lindsey Sterling, and I'm just so excited about what you're doing. Tell me what your inspiration was behind the podcast.
Yeah, I just think there's like so many fascinating questions about being alive that even in our day-to-day we don't talk about enough. We kind of all agree that we don't know the answers to them, so we just move on. Like, do you believe in God? Where do you think we go when we die? What is good or terrible about having money? These questions are like really interesting to me. And I have so many inspiring friends that I run into backstage at different festivals, stuff like that. And I'm like, man, I would love to ask you these questions, but sometimes it's hard to just go dive in deep with like a little bit of time. So to create a full hour and a half to be able to ask some of these questions has been so fulfilling for me. It's been so interesting, and I love it.
Well, I would encourage our listeners to go check out your podcast. You've interviewed Dan Reynolds, Tori Kelly, and more. You just launched in late June, and so I'm super excited to see who's coming up next on your podcast.
Up to this point, we've had Derek Huff, Buzz Yoder Jr. for Hamilton, Dan from Imagine Dragons. We just did Need to Breathe, like you said, Tori Kelly, Lewis Howes, Lindsey Sterling. They're like people that are crushing in their field, but also super inspiring and positive. I
have a couple quick fire questions for you.
Sure, let's do it.
If you could tour with any artist, dead or alive, who would that be?
I'd love to go with Coldplay. Man, I saw Coldplay recently, and they were so good.
I love Coldplay. If you could do a collab with any artist, who would that be?
Stevie Wonder. Love him.
One of your favorite songs of all time, not one of yours, but just one of your favorite songs to listen to. I know that's a loaded question and hard.
No, it's not hard. It's fair. Probably That Thing by Lauryn Hill.
Your favorite book?
It's called Warrior of the Light by Paulo Coelho. Really good for anybody chasing a dream.
Your favorite motto to live by?
There's a really good one I just heard. It said, he who does more than he is paid will soon be paid for more than he does, which I think is very true.
That's good. Favorite podcast to listen to?
And there's so many for different reasons. I do like a check-in of like what I need before I listen to a podcast. If I need some spiritual stuff, if I need some like entrepreneurial stuff. So I love Super Soul. Sessions by Oprah, so good. Tim Ferriss. I love Mark Maron, WTF. I love Planet Money. All those are really good.
What is your definition of a miracle?
Something outside of logic, right? Like logically something shouldn't be able to happen, and then it does. And I think that happens all the time. I think miracles are occurring all the time. And what a sad way to live if you don't think that's happening.
I agree. At Children's Miracle Network Hospitals, we treat 10 million kids at 170 children's hospitals across the country. And literally, I witness big and little miracles every day. It's even if a child can just put a smile on their face when they're in the midst of chemo. And so they're there. You just have to look for them and really be grateful when you see them. My last question, and I ask this to all of our guests. If there were 3 miracles that you could create in the world today, what would that look like for you, Andy?
You know, I'm a big proponent of trying to end homelessness. I started my career as a street performer, and I was hanging out with a lot of homeless people, so I've done as much as I can to help that cause. That feels like a miracle that is actually, it's a really big one, but I feel like at some point, hopefully the world will figure it out. So hopefully a miracle would be that no one would be homeless. Second miracle would be that people believed in themselves. The average person really believed they could do extraordinary things. Sounds like a weird miracle, but I do think there's a lot of people that don't just believe that they're capable, when they definitely are. And then number 3, that we could all on this planet understand how similar we are. Like if each person could see someone who's not in their family like they were in their family, that would be a pretty serious miracle.
Wow, those are very impactful. Thank you for sharing those with us. And I really appreciate your time today. And please tell our listeners where they can follow you and where they can see you on tour.
Sure. Follow me on Instagram, Andy Grammer, Facebook, Twitter, and andygrammer.com for all tour dates. And check out the podcast too, for sure.
Yeah, everybody listen to the podcast. I've been listening to it today. It's amazing. You will definitely be inspired. And Andy, thanks for all you do to make the world a better place.
Great talking to you. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much for tuning in to the Untold Miracles podcast. If you liked the episode, do us a favor and go to iTunes and leave a review. And if you haven't joined our Facebook group, go to Untold Miracles and leave us your story about your personal miracle. Thank you for your support of Untold Miracles.